Just on Vicky.
Good evening, everybody. We're opening up our agenda tonight for the town council meeting, Monday, June 28th, and it is 7 o'clock. So we want to start the meeting right now by acknowledging the Southington High School girls softball team. And although the girls are practicing because they're the champs and they want to stay there, right? So what I would love to do is have Davina and Michelle come on up. I'm going to ask Val if she would read the proclamation. This was presented at the banquet last Tuesday night. And I think it would be wonderful.
And the athletic director, Mr. Steve Risser,
Oh,
please.
sorry, Steve. Come on up. I'm so sorry.
So this is such an honor to read this and to be part of it. I'm so glad that I went along for the ride this season. So we did read this we presented it at the banquet last week. So I will, again. So Town Council official proclamation. Be it hereby known to all that the Southington Town Council hereby offers its sincerest congratulations to the SHS girls softball team. Recognition of winning the CIAC Class LL Softball State Championship. This 2021 state championship marks the 19th overall in program history and the most of any high school softball team in the state of Connecticut. The Lady Knights achieved a record of 26-1, winning the last 25 consecutive games of the season. The team only had 22 errors in 27 total games. Despite numerous close games, the Lady Knights continue to show their resilience throughout the season and including the playoffs. They won the state championship title with a 4-3 walk-off victory. The state championship team consisted of 7 all-conference players, specifically Julia Panarella, Jasmine Lassane, Allie Rembish, Kate Griffin, Sam Sullivan, Ashlyn Delsaniers, and Sam Rogers. The Central Connecticut Conference also held its first ever conference tournament, which included 32 teams. The Lady Knights became the first CCC Conference Tournament champion, in addition to the CCC West League champion. The Lady Knights outscored their opponents 268-43 in their 27 games, including multiple shutouts, which included a perfect game and a no-hitter by pitcher Julia Panarella. Be it now proclaimed that council members Christopher Palmeri and Valerie DiPaolo join with Chairwoman Victoria Triano, along with the entire town council, to encourage all residents, businesses, civic organizations, and schools to recognize the 2021 Southington High School girls softball team for bringing great pride to our community, and we honor them on this great achievement.
Incredible. Incredible. Congratulations.
Very nice.
The whole team, please let them know.
Yes.
We're so proud of them.
Awesome. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Take care.
Great.
Thank you, Val.
Thanks.
Success. That's it. I don't know.
So right now, we're going to open up our public hearing, which involves an ordinance appropriating $16,900,000 for construction of a new library facility at 255 Main Street, demolition of the existing facility and related site improvements, and authorization and the issuance of $16,900,000 in bonds and notes to finance the appropriation. I would open this.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
if I may, just a brief presentation will be made by the director, and then we'll open it up to the public, please.
yes, absolutely. Thank you, Christy. If you could do that. Walter's going to help you.
And the vice chair.
Hello, Walter.
I'm Walter Grover. Do I have to give my address too?
Yes, we're gonna find you.
Walter Grover, yeah. Everyone can come over, especially on November 2nd when a referendum passes. I am Walter, yes, come over. My name is Walter Grover. I reside at 2118 Meriden Waterbury Turnpike in a beautiful part of Marion. So tonight we are here after 25 years of discussion on and off about a new or expanded library. People at work wanted to know why I was so wired without caffeine today. And we've been looking forward to this moment for so long. We really look forward to November 2nd. And let me just read off of this so I don't ramble on for a half hour and we can all go out and sweat. It's very hot tonight. So I joined the library board. My first meeting was January 2018. And after that meeting, we started working on looking at a possibility of a new or expanded library. Here we are 3.5 years later. We've done our due diligence. We've done our homework. We've worked with the council. We've worked with the finance board, planning and zoning, our planning committee, our library board, and several dozen citizens in town, putting together a fiscally responsible plan that will give us a building that it's long overdue, a building that we deserve, a building we can be proud of, that will last us for the next 50 years. And I'd like to thank the council. You all have been very involved in the last year and learning more about this. I honestly got fired up at one of our planning committee meetings when Councilman Jim Morelli came prepared with the libraries of the future and a slideshow. And I said, you guys really got into this. And it really took the entire community to put this together, to have surveys, to listen to hundreds of residents throughout town. What do they want? Because I can try to come up with things, but I'm a library board member. What do the actual residents want? What do our experts in town, our folks who are involved in building, our folks that are involved with just a variety of expertise? And here we are tonight after 25 years of discussion, hoping to bring this to the vote, to the voters on November 2nd. And I just wanted to thank some of the people that have been involved in the last 3.5 years, along with our council. We have our library board, who is made up of our chair, Mary Baker. Unfortunately, she wanted to be here tonight and just couldn't make it. So she's been working hard for the last year since taken over as chair, and the last 1.5 years since joining our library board. We also have Fran Mead, Joanne Kelleher, Johanna Fergalak, Tina Riccio, Patricia Queen, Todd Chaplinsky, and Maureen Gagnon. I'd also like to give a huge thanks to our library board, or our library staff, who have been amazing, especially during this pandemic. Our friends at the library are always there for us. They're going to continue to be here for us. They're excited for this project. We also have people who have served our committees that include the planning. What else do we have? Our advocacy committee, board members who no longer serve. All these people have played a role. And what I love about this is we're in such a divided time in our history as a country. And I see everyone coming together on this project. This isn't a Democrat project. This isn't a Republican project. This is a Southington project. And this is something we can all come together and be proud of. So some other folks I just want to quickly thank before I have Christy come up here and give a short presentation. Terry Lombardi, Dave Donnelly, Eddie Pocock Jr., Brian Oblin, Jen Klock, Paul Mazzacaro, Erica Byrne, Jack Perry, Kevin Curtis, Heidi Bittner, Dawn Maselli, Diane Thompson, Dave Monty, Jen Maselli, Mary Ellen D'Angelo, Pat Kraut, Val DiPaolo, councilwoman who was a former board member and was vital in helping us put information together. Thank you. Kathleen Riley, Brian Williams, and Barbara Roberts. And the hundreds of people who have already stepped up. They want signs in their yards. They're excited. They want buttons. They're ready to vote yes. And the town is really rallied together for this project. So, and also a big thanks to the council again, our finance board, our planning and zoning, our community foundation of Greater New Britain. Everyone's coming together on this project, and it's been so much fun to work with and so rewarding. So I'm going to step off now before I get into another half hour, a huge tangent. Christy, come on up here. Christy Sadowski is our Executive Library Director and has a short presentation for you and the town. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, and thank you for that rousing introduction. I know most of you have already heard the majority of what I'm going to say, but I just want to get some more information out there for the public who might be watching at home. I also want to acknowledge our architect, Jeff Hoover, who is available via WebEx should we have further questions. As you know, the Southington Library has been working on plans for a new building, a facility that might look something like this. We're proposing a freestanding building, 2 levels with a partial basement that will cost approximately $16.9 million and get us to 29,900 square feet. It is designed for the future of Southington and will address 5 major issues in addition to allowing library services to grow with our population and needs. Those priorities are expanded space for children and teens, meeting and work spaces for individuals and groups, acoustical separation for noisy and quiet spaces, a fully accessible and code-compliant building, and efficient building systems. Last time I was here, I was asked a little bit more about the demonstration of need. And as Walter indicated, people in this community have been working on this project for years, for over a decade easily. It has been identified in our strategic plans for as long back as at least 2009. That's as far as I could find. So I was asked if we could do one more survey after the pandemic, and since our previous data had all been from 2019, late 2019. So we asked 4 questions. The first was, what is the most important feature for a new library? And this was to just get an idea if people were going to say the same things that we thought they were. As you can see, bigger building, they wanted accessible, space for children and teens, larger, more meeting and program spaces. And the other big line up there is other miscellaneous, and that was basically any other comment that didn't fit in one of those categories. So it looks large, but it's really 38 different categories. The next question asked, it showed our 3 primary goals besides the building infrastructure and the code compliance and what those priorities were. I should mention we had 370 responses to the survey, and you could answer more than once. So in the top, in that teal color, you have the 3 priorities that we identified, and then below in the yellowish brown were write-in options, and they go along very well with the things that we've been talking about throughout this whole project. We also asked what our community projected their usage to be like after the pandemic. Browsing for programs, attending programs, doesn't really seem like people are really changing their patterns too much. And finally, we asked if they had any further comments. And again, the same comments. ADA, bigger building to accommodate more books, expanded children's, expanded Friends Use bookstore, expanded programming spaces or multiple ones, quiet spaces, and a lot of people said that they wanted something that reminded them of Plainville or Wallingford, which are 2 of the newer libraries in our area. The building we're proposing on the main level, it will welcome the community to their library and will offer immediate, easy, accessible access to the most popular services, including the meeting room, elevator, stairs, circulation desk, and the beloved Friends bookstore. The layout is flexible and modular to accommodate our current needs and to be easily reconfigured as needs and trends evolve. The floor plan is designed to work mostly within our current staffing level and still provide readily available assistance to all. We've addressed acoustical separation by dividing quiet spaces and louder activities into separate areas. In this diagram on the left, the teal indicates a collaborative wing with a variety of meeting spaces, including several small areas for group work, tutoring, and meetings scaled for various size groups. In the bottom, in the darker teal, is a program room with external access for after-hours meetings. And there's also a dedicated Create space where we can hold and promote maker programs and offer shared equipment. On the right, in yellow, we have marked areas for traditional library services, those seeking quieter, less active pursuits, which will include a dedicated quiet study room, computer access, and a separate area for the senior population that we will be tuned to their needs. Quick little summary for those following at home. The upper level is going to be a family level in contrast to the main level. This has the children's and teen areas, and our intent is to make this a great resource for Southington families. Teal identifies the large children's space, which includes a dedicated program room for story time and other events. There are several activity spaces scattered throughout the area for children and their families, including computers, group study, and play. The separate teen space in yellow on the left includes group study spaces as well as hangout space to keep teens engaged and safe. The upper corner there is going to be in white is mostly administrative spaces. The partial basement will not be a public space, but will instead be used for storage and mechanical equipment. There is expected that there'll be a mechanical equipment on the roof. Although we're offering more building, we're anticipating an increase in the efficiency of our systems in hopes of keeping our energy consumption level. Concept renderings of this plan have been done to help visualize what the facility might look like. We want to emphasize that this is just a preliminary concept, that should this project move forward to referendum and then move forward after that, a building committee will come together to create what will actually move forward for the new library. The goal here has been to create a design that represents the community aspirations of Southington, to offer a forward-looking representation of our future while representing our past. Our approach has been and will be to design the building to meet the budget while meeting the stated needs of the community and provide the best possible library. The total cost shown here includes construction, demolition, hazardous material abatement, site development costs, escalation and contingency allowances, and project expenses, which are further broken down in the second column, which will include design fees, test borings, moving the library, furnishings, and other testings. Approximately 1/3 of planned spaces are new. You can see on the left column, those in red are spaces that just do not exist in our current facility. And that's kind of it. Can I answer any additional questions? Just back up.
It's Christy.
I'm not sure if there's anyone else from the library board who wishes to speak, so if there is, you are more than welcome to come forward now.
Good evening, Joanne Kelleher, 861 Savage Street in Southington. I am a member of the library board and was also the chair of the planning committee and was briefly chair of the advocacy committee. I would like to echo Walter's thank you. There are a long list of people who have helped us move this project forward. And I want to emphasize, as the director of the Early Childhood Collaborative of Southington, that the issues around the space for children are especially important to me. There are children here in town who are not in a formal preschool program, and the library is the place where they go to have exposure to other kids and to programs. And the planning committee really spent a lot of time designing a enclosed space so that the children and their parents or grown-ups can meet together, can have dedicated program staff where there's enough room for bookshelves that are not 6 feet tall because young children cannot reach the books at the top of the shelf or even the middle of the shelf currently, where the parents don't have to worry about the kids running between the stacks and out the door into the parking lot, which is currently an issue, and where there are actually chairs for the grown-ups to sit on. Pre-pandemic, there were only a couple of chairs for the grown-ups. So that is one of the issues that's really important to me with this new library project. So again, I want to thank you for your support, and I want to thank everybody who has supported this project moving forward.
I'm going to now open it up for anyone who wishes to speak in favor of this referendum going forward. So if you are here and you want to voice your approval of this project going forward to us, you may please come to the podium now, give your name and address, and we will listen to you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Terry Lombardi from 27 Royal Oak Drive in Southington, a community volunteer, a frequent user of the library over 40 years, primarily checking books out and taking my grandchildren to children's programs. I'm a library customer. I'm an advocate for libraries since I was a very young girl. It was a refuge place for me. And it was a place where I learned many things about America. I'm a former library board executive board member, both as treasurer and as secretary, and chairperson of the advisory committee. I have recently resigned as a result of childcare for my grandchildren. To town council, I thank each one of you for your time and your services and your commitment to this town. You have and continue to do a fabulous job serving our town, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart. To the current board and the staff, thank you for your hard work during the pandemic and preparing for a November referendum for a new library. This is primarily to my fellow Southington neighbors. My focus tonight is on you. I would like to share my learnings from serving on the board and some observations that will help you to become a champion of the library, the new library. And I urge you to take your responsibility of voting and also vote for this new library. So, what did I learn in terms of library services and offerings? Do you know, neighbors, about Tales and Tales? Do you know about Tales and Tales? That's the right answer, Chris. No, it's not tattletaling. Do you know about Hoopla? No, it's not about hula hoop. Do you know about Take and Bake? No, it's not Shake and Bake. It's Take and Bake. Do you know about one-on-one services? That is reference services. The library is filled with tutors from Monday through Friday. Often you can't even get a seat. Did you know that? Did you know that we have a museum pass program? Free passes to museums in the state of Connecticut. Did you know there's something besides Netflix? It's called BookFlix. Did you know about Mango? Yeah, you probably eat it now. It's on sale for 49 cents each at ShopRite. But it's about learning a new language. Did you know that the children's play area is the size of my walk-in closet with no window? There's no social distancing there. And did you know about book clubs? If you're not aware of all these top 10 items, please visit our library, and that goes for all of us, to find out what the offerings are. To be honest, I didn't know either. Another major learning once I became a board member. Don't be fooled by what you see on the outside, because on the inside tells a different story. There is an additional priority that I ask the staff to add to their communications and highlight to our Southington neighbors. Beyond quiet space, enhancing children's area, community meeting space, meeting fire code, and access to our disabled citizens, we need to fix the failing infrastructure elements, the heating, the cooling, the plumbing. They are in disrepair. And the elevator has been unoperable this past year. I can't tell you how many times. I encourage my neighbors to pay a visit and learn about the services of our library. Despite these building deficiencies, the staff makes it work. I never knew of the state of the building nor its services until I was on the board. Please, Southington neighbors, get out and support our new library. And thank you very much for your time, council members.
Thank you, Terry. Anyone else? Speaking in favor? I see many people here who've come, and your presence speaks volumes. However, I do want to, I'm going to close this part down, and I'm going to open it up to anyone who may be wishing to speak against this referendum at this time. If there's anyone here who wishes to speak, please come up. And name and address, please, for the record.
T. Sombic, 40 Richmond Court. Totally unplanned, spontaneous here. There was conversations in the presentation about how they had come around to the town, they had included the community, they had gotten feedback. The first I heard about wanting to do something to the library was when it was up in front of the Board of Finance 2 weeks ago. So nobody asked me, nobody got my opinion on that. My question is, what does this mean to us as taxpayers? My taxes go up every single year. They never go down. We just had a mill rate. We just had all of our houses reevaluated, the mill rate. My taxes are going up again. We're going to spend almost $17 million on a building. I know everybody likes libraries, especially those of us who are older because we're from that generation, but teenagers, kids, they don't really go to the library. In all the years that my son was in high school, I never had to take him to the library. All of the research is done online. I can probably count on my two hands the number of times I went to the library with either of my children. I'm not saying that we shouldn't make the library ADA accessible, that we shouldn't do some renovations, but my questions are, can we do the renovations that need to be done and spend less than 17 million? This building that we stand in is a real big sore spot for me. This building got pushed through because it was going to be too expensive, or the old medical building, I don't remember what it was called, the Gura building, was beyond renovation. So the idea of renovating that and expanding it into the town hall, that was beyond, couldn't be done. So this school, which we owned free and clear, I think we sold to the developer for $1, and now we're paying $8 million or something like that to buy back something we already owned. So now this building that was not renovatable has been beautifully renovated and is now an arts building. So I just have to question that. You know, is this really where we need to spend $17 million? Is there something that we can do to that library to make it better for the people who need to get there accessibility wise? Yes, I used to go there for scouts. A lot of times my son's Eagle Scout meetings were up on the second level. But I just don't see the need in this day and age for people, for kids who historically would go to the library to do research. The world is changing. And I don't see, in talking about making a building that will last for the next 50 years, I don't know that people are going to be going to a library in 50 years. You're talking about reading books. People don't read books. People do things on their phones and their pads. And it just seems to me, not that I'm saying get rid of it, but $17 million. I'm an accountant. I'm a CPA. I'm very fiscally conservative. I just can't understand how we can spend $17 million. My property taxes, when I moved here 20 years ago, were around, or 18 years ago, around $3,000. I'm button up on 10,000 now. How much more can you squeeze out of the people who live in this town? So you've got to balance that. And is this 29,000 square foot library really something that's needed in this century? In the town, in the time of everything's online, even shopping, everything's online, your groceries online, alcohol online. I mean, do we really need to drop 17 million on a library?
Thank you very much. Did you catch the speaker's name? I just want to make sure. Okay, very good. Valerie knows everybody. Thank you very much. Anyone else wishing to speak against this referendum? So hearing none, I'm going to, does the council have any comments or want to say anything before I close down the public hearing? Okay, hearing none, I'm going to close down the public hearing right now. We will be taking it up later on in our regular meeting. And we are going right into our regular meeting for the evening. So, Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Valerie DiPaolo. Here. William Dietzick.
Here.
Tom Lombardi.
Here.
James Morelli.
Here.
Christopher Palmieri.
Here.
Christopher Poulos.
Here.
Paul Chaplinsky.
Here.
Michael Del Santo.
Present.
Victoria Triano.
Here. Let's all stand for the prayer, followed by the flag salute.
Most Heavenly Father, may you continue to bless and keep Southington and her people. May you direct and lead this council in all her endeavors as we seek to do what is right and just for all people. Amen.
Amen. Would you join me in the flag salute, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag. Stands like nation. Thank you, everyone. Our next order of business would be to the approval of last meeting's minutes. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Thank you, Chris.
I'll second.
Tom, thank you. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any additions, deletions, or anything? Hearing none, I would see that this is a unanimous affirmation. Thank you. Item 3, councilperson's communication. Do we have any? Yes, Paul?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I had 2 items, Madam Chair. The first was I'd like to, at the appropriate time, make a motion to add executive session regarding real estate matters to our agenda tonight. don't
Do
know
I
if you
have a
wanna do that
second?
now?
It's
I'll
appropriate now.
Just looking
Second.
at
I'll
it.
second that.
Okay, very good. All those,
Discussion, Madam Chair?
yeah, is there a
Yeah,
discussion?
just for the record, there will be no action outside of an executive session. Correct, Mr.
Correct.
Shaplinsky? Thank you.
Oh, thank you. All those in favor by adding this signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? All right, we're going to add it to as executive session on the bottom of the agenda, please.
Madam Chair, the other item that I wanted to discuss was 2 incidents that happened over this weekend that I think many of us have heard about. The first was, well, actually multiple incidents on Saturday evening. It was quite disturbing and appalling to read the news that we had 12 invasions on the east side of town in Southington. People's homes or garages being intruded on, vehicles being broken into, items being stolen. And it appears, that, we continue to have this problem in varying degrees in our community, and I'm sure in neighboring communities. Many of us saw the news today about the Woolkit incident,
Yeah.
where we had multiple teens suspected of invading the local teen center there, or the senior center that is, and completely destroying the inside of the building. Subsequently stealing vehicles, driving at high rates of speed, smashing the vehicles. And it was really disturbing to see that when the prosecutors asked to detain and hold the juveniles, that the judge denied them to hold them. And it continues to, these type of stories continue to creep up. And I'd like to ask, Madam Chair, for us to revisit our topic that came a couple months ago that for a variety of reasons, we had to push the matter to a little bit later than we had liked timeframe. But I'd like to ask our legislators, Madam Chair, with your approval, to come to a meeting or hold a meeting where we can have dialogue with our local legislators and ask what they are going to do to help us. And, I know that, I had gone to the Judicial Committee some months ago and presented this. And I think they fell short of what needs to be done to some of the juvenile laws so that we can ensure that when these crimes are committed, that there's a strong system in place that handles these things. So hopefully we can have more dialogue on that, Madam Chair.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to just acknowledge also, Chris had brought that up at our last meeting as well. And we were talking about that from Chris's point. And then, of course, with all of these incidents in the last few days, it is so frustrating and it's so difficult. And I think the only way we can get help right now is at the state level. And when I saw what happened in Woolcott, it is just awful. So if that's all right with everyone, we only have one meeting in July. And I don't know if they're all available. I want to make sure that Representative Lenahan and the rest of our representatives are available, because there's no point in having something if all of our legislators are not here, because we want some help. And hopefully we can do that. So I was hoping that perhaps we could do it at the beginning of our meeting in July. I don't know if anybody's on vacation at that time. I want us all available for this as well, because I think it's so critical right now. Our citizens are crying out for help, and it's so frustrating that we can't offer them anything. And we're seeing our seasoned police officers retiring at an alarming rate, and for a number of reasons. But all of this goes back to the state legislature. We need help. And so I'm going to just put it out there. I'm not going to put it on the agenda until I speak to all of you to see if you're available for that meeting in July. I'm also going to contact all of the our legislators and as well as our senator and see if we can get them all here. That is going to be very, very important. And so is that all right with anybody? Anybody else have anything?
July 12th.
It's on July 12th.
Madam Chair, I am going to be on vacation.
Oh, you're on vacation at that.
Madam
Okay.
Chair, I'll just add to that perhaps we would want to identify 2 or 3 dates and put out more than one date, because I think whenever we put out one day, we got 9 people here
Yeah.
plus another 4 or 5. So
So it would be a special meeting then, Chris, if we did that, because we're only having a town council meeting once. So if, well, let's dialogue about it further this week and the beginning of next week. And whatever we have for a consensus,
we can
Mark, do
do-
you have any ideas?
Yeah, Madam Chair, what we can do is obviously get a consensus from the council first, and then Kim can send out some
Invitation.
correspondence tomorrow and see what we have available. If it's a special meeting, that makes it easier, because there's only, like I said, the 12th, then you have your meeting in August, and then you have your 2 meetings in September. But if you want to do it in July, then it will be a special meeting. So we'll try to
I
figure
just
out
think
a
it's
date.
so important that we get together to talk about this and see what we can do to work collaboratively with our legislators.
just a question. I know in the past, when there have been counselors or issues with dates with scheduled meetings, that we've shifted the day of the July meeting. Can we just, in lieu of creating another meeting, maybe shift the date and then not have the July 12th meeting?
Well, I'm not opposed to that necessarily, but it really depends on everybody. If we create something that's more
Yeah, I see what you're saying, yeah.
haphazard.
I thought you were saying that. I thought you were saying instead of July 12th, set up
a time that
Another
everyone
July
could be
meeting.
here. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So, but I wasn't necessarily saying that it would be our meeting. It might be an additional meeting
Special meeting.
for a special meeting.
The only reason we do one meeting in July is so we give the council plenty of notice when they schedule their summer vacations. So
Right.
unless it's an issue, that's fine, but normally the 12th would be when you guys would avoid that. But if we move it around, then it's going to hit other people if you're going to vacations in July. So maybe we just, instead of trying to piece it together tonight, because obviously we'll pick a day with Kim will give the correspondence and we'll list Mondays. We could just list Mondays that are available in July and see if everyone's available on one of those. I have no problem moving it, the council meeting.
Right.
I just want to make sure I don't then now inconvenience somebody else who had planned their
That's right,
schedule around not doing that day. So
But yeah,
I don't want to do that.
we will tackle it this week and the beginning of next week. Anybody has anything for this?
And
I want to thank Paul because, Paul, you have been very much at the forefront of this for months. And even going up to the legislature, being part of their hearings. And so it's just, it just doesn't seem to change. And so we are looking for something that we can work with our legislators on and give them facts and figures and all of that. So let's do that, all right? So this week and the beginning of next week, we'll figure out a time. We'll send out different dates to see if everybody can be there, and we'll do it as fast as we can. I think it's very important that we get together soon. Very good, thank you. Are there any other councilmatic communications? Yes, Chris?
Yes, I've all good news items. So, first of all, I had the pleasure of attending graduation with Councilman Chaplinsky this year. So just a shout out to the administration for being able to, instead of having 4 ceremonies this year, bring it back to one major ceremony outdoors in the field. So it was a great event. The weather was great. So congratulations to all our graduating seniors from the high school, and we wish them best luck of wherever they decide to do next year. Just another shout out. I've had the pleasure the opening 3 weeks to attend the drive-in as a volunteer with different civic organizations. So once again, happy to have that available for our community again this year, and just a huge shout out to all the organizers for all their work to provide the drive-in services, and our civic groups for volunteering their time to man the drive-in. Vicki, you and I had the pleasure of attending the Y annual dinner last week, and just want to give an extra shout out, and on behalf of our entire body, Vicki and I had the pleasure of presenting council citations to the Youth Leadership Award, which is Mary Miller, the Youth Development Award to the Rotary Club of Southington, and of note was the Playscape at Memorial Park that was mentioned again. The Healthy Living Award was given to Bloom Yoga Fitness Studios. The Social Responsibility Award was given to Main Street Community Foundation, and the YMCA Person of the Year this year was Tim Cannellan. So of course we wish him the best on his retirement. So congratulations to all the honorees that night. I also, been a while since I talked about steps, so I'm going to share with all of you. This was a little booklet that was given out to all in attendance, and just to share with the community. We're just talking about some of the successes, and if you're not familiar, STEPS is a substance use prevention coalition specifically for our youth. So some of the highlights: tobacco use on a national average is 6% for underage. This is in the past 30-day use, and in Southington it's 3%. Of course, we don't want it to be 3% either, but it's better than the national average. Prescription drugs, the national average is 7%. Again, Southington is 3%. Marijuana, past 30-day use, on the national average is 22%, and in Southington it's 12%. And alcohol is 29% on the national average, past 30-day use, and in Southington it's 18%. So obviously there's still work to do, but we're very proud of the work we are doing in our community to protect our youth. And then finally, it's my pleasure to announce Southington Public Schools. We have announced a Teacher of the Year this year, and it's a teacher at Oceana Elementary School, Sandra Chavez. She is a fifth grade teacher there and has done great work for the community. And we're very proud of her and just want to give her a shout out and acknowledge her being selected as the elementary school teacher of the year as well as the district-wide teacher of the year. And I'd also like to shout out to Mrs. Tina Riccio, who is the Southington High School Teacher of the Year this year as well. So we have such fantastic, phenomenal educators in our community, and we're very fortunate to work with both Ms. Chavez and Mrs. Riccio.
Terrific. Good. Anybody else have anything? Oh, yes.
So I just had a few things I wanted to report on. So I had the pleasure to attend the community information session for the Martin Luther King mural project at SoCA. And there were almost 100 attendees, either in person at SoCA or virtual. So it really was just a great kickoff to the event. And this is something that the Rise Up organization is really looking to have community input from Southington so that our residents can determine what kind of a mural that they would like in Southington. So any residents that are still interested, there's plenty of time to get involved. You can reach out to Mary DeCroce at SoCA on the SoCA website. Reach out to myself. I'll be happy to get people involved. But it was just really a nice kickoff.
Now,
to the event.
on all the publicity on that, it says that Southington was selected. Could you tell me who selected us, who put our name in?
Well, the Rise Up organization, Mary worked with the Rise Up organization.
So she put
Matt Conway.
Southington in.
So she puts the name in, they look at everything. They're looking to get 39 towns. I believe they're getting close to that number. And the reason for 39 towns is a mural in each town for the number of years that Martin Luther King, he was assassinated at the age of 39. On Juneteenth, there were, I want to say 4 or 5 murals that were unveiled. West Hartford has just an incredible, I saw pictures of it, just an incredible mural. And some of the other towns were all unveiled that day. And so what Rise Up is looking to do is to have these murals unveiled leading up to Martin Luther King Day this coming January.
Great, thank you.
So, and
Yeah,
ahead.
anything else?
yes, I wanted to, and Joanne Kelleher is here tonight, so I thought that was perfect. Joanne had sent the council an email on Sustainable Connecticut. And I started to look into it. I had looked into it when the Martin Luther King mural project had come up. Sustainable Connecticut is an organization where they provide matching funds to the community. So 121 towns already in Connecticut have registered with Sustainable Connecticut. There's no fee to register with them. There's a little bit of work to do as far as the council would pass a resolution to register. We would have to have a contact person, have a small committee, which could be a committee that we already have. We don't have to change the name of that committee. But what it does is once we're registered, any resident, any nonprofit, any school, library, any group can apply to get matching funds for a project. And so these projects have to do with everything. You know, it could be dealing with a pollinator garden, planting trees, open space, educational programs. It's just a whole range of different projects. So I did a little bit of research on it, and I'm just wondering if it's something that we really should look into. I'd be happy to work with, take the lead on it and see if it's
I would
something we
like to
could
know
consider.
much more about it before we start to appoint a committee or subcommittee on. So we all got Joanne's note, so we'll see if there's other interest.
Okay,
Thank
all
you.
right. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Chris?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Just, I wanted to quickly echo Councilman Palmieri's congratulations to Sandra Chavez. My children go to Oceana Elementary School, and she's just a superstar. You might recall from previous meetings, we were proud to honor, and we did in person as well, the kid governor who was from Oceana, fifth grader from Oceana School, and that's her teacher. That's the person who has coordinated that program and brought Southington in contention to have actually a kid governor from our town. Beyond that, just an extraordinary public servant who teaches her children not just the lessons of reading, math, and writing, but about how to be a young, good citizen. And that's what we need in our community, and that's what we celebrate. So that's great news. I had one other item that I wanted to share. I've been following as closely as possible. End of the school year is busy for me. The legislative session, and with interest and little apprehension, the passing of the recreational marijuana bill. And as I endeavor to learn about that legislation, it's my understanding that municipalities are going to have the authority to make the decision as to allowing for dispensaries in those towns or not. And, you know, again, I have a public school teacher hat on. I have participated and learned a lot from the STEPS program in our town. We've made great progress with that program in terms of awareness with our children, and we don't want to take a step backward. And so, one thing I want to throw this out there, but I'd like our council to consider a resolution or some sort of statement that says that, you know, we abide by the law, and marijuana is recreational, and people can use it, but we don't want dispensaries in our town. And I know there's regulations that planning and zoning considered about the medical dispensaries, and so that might be a starting point. But I would like this council to, and I'll come to you because I'm on summer vacation now. Anyone on this council on either side, to start to consider language and regulations that to that end. And
It's funny you brought it up because I have it on my list too to talk about. I want to just say that, and we have two members of, prior members of planning and zoning that were there considering medical marijuana. Is that correct, Paul and Mike?
Right, Madam Chair. Southington was the first town in the state, and Jim as well. We were the first town in the state to get ahead of it. And we strengthened our regulations to ensure that these dispensaries were not going to be in areas near schools or areas and places of worship. We were on the forefront.
You know, and my thinking is this, like, so I recall that with the medical, we had like two applicants for dispensaries, and there was like a community reaction, like a reactive approach. I think we need to be proactive on this, and you know, it's different from what I understand. Again, I'm not a legal expert, but from what I understand, the state selected 30 medical dispensaries, and Southington was lucky, in my view, not to have one of those in our town. But this is different in the sense that the town government is the gatekeeper of yes or no on these dispensaries. It's not that there's not a law that requires us to allow someone to seek a permit and do this. And so,
I think it was 2 days ago, Waterbury voted to, or is about to vote on, to put a moratorium on any sale of recreational marijuana for a year. So I was, my list here was to talk about that and also to defer it to our town's attorney to look more into what's going on in Waterbury. There's also another town I heard about that puts, was it Prospect?
I think it's Prospect.
but yeah.
They voted no. So there's no reason why we can't vote no. And I think that, but I want to check it through. I don't want to be challenged. I want to make sure we're doing everything right, Jeremy. But as a founding member of STEPS, that has been, it's just, I just can't understand why they would even consider that other than money.
Mhm.
But our kids are worth much more than money. And I don't care what age they put on that.
Yeah, and
It's going to filter down, Chris. You're
I-
right.
I'll just add one last comment, and I spoke with Megan Albanese today on the phone briefly, and Chris has worked closely on the STEPS board, and I don't know, Chris, if there's, she said that there's some initial work has begun. Is there anything that, just for the public to know, that you can share out from the STEPS standpoint? Because I'm not on the STEPS board, and you would be more up to date on that.
I mean, obviously the legislation's new, and we're still trying to process everything that's come with the legislation. And what's important though is STEPS as a body is our concern is protecting the youth. So while this law talks about recreational use for all ages, I mean, obviously the focus for STEPS is obviously 18 and under, and even I'll push it to say 21 and under. So the work that STEPS is beginning to take on is similar to what we've done with Tobacco 21, which, as we recall, was 18. We actually were one of the first to pass the ordinance to raise it from 18 to 21. The reason our concern from 18 to 21 is 18-year-olds potentially are still students in high school, and there are siblings and there are children at the middle school level, and that's how things get passed down to the youth. So the work, as Chris, you said, the law is the law, but is education and making sure that everyone is aware that the enforcement is for age 21 and over, not to be purchased or used underneath that. And I do remember the three of you actually on planning and zoning. Vicky, you and I actually went to the public hearing, and both of us spoke on the record against this. And Mike, I mean, I turn to you. Maybe I could have swore the spirit of the conversation was not just for medical marijuana, but it was just for marijuana.
Let me jump in here because the staff and I have been working on this for 3 weeks. So I just wanted to hear what you had to say first. Jeremy's been on board on this. I'll let him take over. But the legislation, the regulation specifically says exactly what you said. It talked about medical marijuana. It specifically does not include and prohibits recreational marijuana. In anticipation of that, we've been talking about the fact that, and I sent this all to you a couple of weeks ago, if you remember, that we need to get input from the Planning and Zoning Commission. The question is, Chairman Hammersley and the staff, as well as Jeremy, will be working on whether they have to take active action to reinforce that particular regulation since it was passed, prior to the statute. That being said, I'll turn it over to Jeremy, but yes, we've been talking about this for several weeks in anticipation of this taking place, but go ahead, Jeremy.
Please.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Madam Chair. Since it's just been passed so recently, signed by the governor, I have been in contact with other municipal attorneys, and we are trying to all get a kind of census of what every town is doing, what the feeling is, how are we going to interpret this? And particularly for our town, if there is anything that we have to do to add on to our previous ordinance that we had through planning and zoning. So that's something that's an ongoing matter, but we plan to try to get on top of that as soon as possible. So hopefully we'll be able to report back to you very soon. And
There is specific opt-out language. If you read the statute, it says it must start with the Planning and Zoning Commission. Zoning Commission gives its opinion. Now, ours is already on record, not this particular commission, several commissions ago. So that's why we think we may have this commission once again look at the current regulation, which prohibits it, re-vote on that, and then it moves on to here. It does not start with this board. It starts with planning and zoning under the opt-out provisions under the statute.
So much stuff coming up. It's hard to get your mind around.
Right, and can I ask, so the ordinance that's in place is medical?
It's a PZC regulation.
That's going to be
Yeah.
that's going to be the sticking point, right?
Well,
That what you're looking to determine.
It said, medical marijuana is allowed by statute. As the councilman said, they pick certain areas. Before they picked those areas, the Planning and Zoning Commission, I was the town attorney then, we got on board with the vice chair, I think, at the time, wanted to get on board ahead of it, and we got ahead of it. But during those conversations, the issue came up about, well, what if they ever make it go beyond that? Because there was, obviously, many states had recreational marijuana, even when we were talking about that.
Right.
So it was brought up that there was a specific section said that medical marijuana dispensaries are allowed in certain areas of the town if granted approval by the state of Connecticut, which Mr. Poulos talked about. That didn't happen in Southington, but there's specific language in here in the regulation says the Planning and Zoning Commission shall not be allowed to grant permission for recreational marijuana. The question becomes, Val, is this: because the statute comes after the regulation, do we then have to bring that regulation back up again, revote on it, and then?
That's my
then-
question.
Reiterate
That's,
it.
Okay.
that's why we pay him the big
What you're
bucks.
looking, okay, all right. Get the big bucks, Jeremy.
Can I make a quick comment? My recollection is that when we discussed that as a Planning and Zoning Commission, we were able to limit the available spaces that they could even apply for.
The areas are.
Because of the location and proximity to schools, churches, et cetera. And so it's difficult to even find a place, make an application for medical marijuana. And we also made it very clear that they could never convert those to recreational. That was the discussion.
That's the regulation.
But the opt-out requires two provisions now. It requires planning and zoning and the town council. Both must act after full public hearings, if I remember. But the town attorney has a great handle on it, and
I'm so glad all of us are kind of, Chris, you brought it up tonight, but I had written notes down about it and you guys were already working on it. And you guys worked on it 4 years ago in
Like a
anticipation.
well-oiled machine.
Okay. Anything else? I have one.
Madam
quick-
Chair, I have one
Yes,
very
go
quick
ahead,
thing.
Michael.
We are in the presence of greatness this evening in these chambers, and to be remiss without mentioning, we have Mr. Andy Mead sitting in the audience. He's one of my favorite people. And Mr. Mead has served this town graciously for over 30 years up in this dais as a town council. Not in this room, it was over at the town hall, but it's always a pleasure to see Mr. and Mrs. Mead. Don't want to forget Mrs. Mead, of course. Mr. Mead is one of my favorite people, and it's just to have him here is great.
substantially longer than 30
Mr.
years.
Mead had. to
Well, yeah,
mentor me
close to 40 years,
when I
right?
first came on the council.
That's right.
Poor
So,
Andy had to. do
always
it.
a pleasure to see you, Mr. Mead. Very good.
And of course, this is Linda's last meeting.
Right.
She's going on.
Maybe.
to- Well.
Maybe, yeah.
We want to just say thank you, Linda, for all your years of
in.
service
Of course.
and putting up with Mark all those years.
That's
We
true.
know you're going to have a wonderful time with your grandchildren and all, and we just thank you for all of that. Thank you, Linda. Yes. I have one quick thing, and that is that I also had the privilege of attending the Rotary Convention, which named our local Joanne Alfieri as governor of Rotary for her term. And it was quite a festive evening at the Turf, two nights in 1 week. I don't know. And we recognized her also on her office of governor for Rotary from the town council. So I just wanted to say it publicly to thank
Did
Joanne.
they talk about the 1982 Little League Rotary team,
No,
home run leader?
no, we're not going to talk about it tonight.
Was it you? That was me.
That was you?
82, home run leader, Rotary. Western Little
Okay,
League.
well,
High
this
point
is
of his
good.
career.
Are there any reports? We're moving on here. We're moving on here.
No.
We looked at the agenda. We thought we'd be quick, but anyway. Listen, any reports for special committees? Anybody? I have none listed. So we're just going to move along. Town managers report and communications.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have one item tonight. As you know, every couple of years, we apply for a grant to purchase a new calendar house bus. I'm happy to say that we received another $60,000 grant, and part of your capital budget, which you approved, is the difference between the two. So what happens, like everything else, is that the Mr. Verderam and the mechanics look and see which bus is going to come off and when the new bus comes on. So we've been very successful on these grants, and our bus system is second to none, in my opinion, for our elderly
Okay,
population.
great news. Any questions? Anything else, Mr. Town Manager?
As I do for a formality, we now do have an executive session, and there will be no action outside of executive session.
Thank you so much. And Word has it you're going on vacation right after that executive session tonight, so just saying.
Be a long one, but it'll be brief.
Our town attorney's report, please, Joe.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just have one item on my agenda. Your last town council meeting, you referred the library facility under General Statute 8-24 to the Planning and Zoning for the review. On June 1st, they had their meeting and they returned a favorable recommendation back to you. So you'll be voting on that approval of their recommendation tonight. That's all I have.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Any questions for the town attorney? Hearing none, let's move right on to public communication. I would just want to say before anybody may come up and address us for 5 minutes on any topic you would like, but I do want to mention that we did receive a couple of letters in favor of the library referendum, and those will be included in our minutes for this meeting. I want to do that. Is there anyone here who would like to speak during public communication? Mr. Urso, you don't want to? No. Just wondered. Okay, I'm going to close off public communication. Old business, item A, action on referral from planning and zoning for library facility.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Are there anybody who's opposed or have a question or anything? Hearing none, and that will be seen as a unanimous approval. Item B, action on public hearing and setting a date for the referendum.
Madam Chair.
So moved, Madam
Yeah,
Chair.
Madam
just
Chair,
one
I
second.
know that this is a formality, but could I put the motion?
Yes,
and then
please.
someone could accept that
Yes,
motion.
please.
The motion would be moving forward with an ordinance appropriating $16,900,000 for the construction of a new library facility at 255 Main Street, demolition of the existing facility and related site improvements, and authorizing the issuance of $16,900,000 bond and notes to finance the appropriation, and to schedule to the public for a public vote on November 2nd, 2021.
Thank you, Mark. And so Val, I think you spoke up first.
Yes, I'd love to move that motion.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Oh, thank you, Chris. Let's take a voice vote on this, please.
Madam Chair, could I discuss?
Yes, of course. I'm sorry.
So I voted yes to send the library for the 824, voted yes to send it for a public hearing. I'm also going to vote yes to send it to the referendum. But that doesn't reflect my personal opinion on the library. I am concerned about the price tag. And if a referendum fails, percentage chance for getting passed a second time decreases hugely. So I just hope we got it right with the price tag, because I do think these things have to be taken in context of what goes on with the rest of the town. So I do have personal concerns about the price tag of the library, but I will vote yes tonight. So it does have the imprimatur of having unanimous passage through this board.
Okay, very good.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Yeah, I'd also like to comment that we've been discussing this for many, many years. I remember it must have been 8 years ago, I sat down with Fran Mead and Sue at the library at the time, and I toured the facility. And I think we all are well aware of the condition that the building is in. And we've heard other comments about this is too much money, why is it needed? And I think the library board has done a fantastic job of getting the information out there. And that's our job, is making sure that the information gets out there and every voter has a fair say on the matter. So I think we're definitely doing the right thing by pushing it forward. It's well overdue. And after tonight, it's up to the voters to decide where it goes from here.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Oh, I couldn't agree more with Councilman Lombardi. It's high time we update this facility. It's long overdue, and it's got my full support at the proposed price tag.
Chris.
The other point, I just want to thank the public, members of the library board again, for your patience. This was supposed to have been last year. It got pushed back several times. Most recently, it was supposed to be last year, and obviously with the pandemic, we took that into account, the impact on the entire community. So we did push it back another year. As a result, we pushed back future referendum dates as well. So first of all, thank you to board members here, and thank you to residents for understanding why we felt the need to do that. The other thing that I think it's important to discuss is the price tag. We went back and forth over this. This body went back and forth over this quite a bit. And the worst thing we fear is to spend so much money on a library referendum and have it not be sufficient for the next 10 years, even 20 years. We know how long it's been since the last work has been done in the library, so we want to make sure it's done right. So this was the price that through the work from the architect that came before us, we felt would be able to do the job right. Not a Cadillac version by any stretch of the imagination, but yet do the work that needs to be done in that building.
Thank you, Chris. Anybody else? We're just checking something out. I don't know if there's anybody we didn't acknowledge, and Paul just sent me a note, and he's so right. We didn't acknowledge anybody who was on the computer, remote participants during public communication. I want to just give them an opportunity before we take this vote, if that's all right with everybody. Let's just see.
Jay Baker is communicating with the members on the WebEx meeting to see if they would like to have any public communication.
Let's vote this. Let's do the voice vote, and if there is anybody, then we'll
Yeah.
open it up for communication. Thank you very much, Paul. I'm sorry I didn't read your note fast enough.
We need to see if there's any public communication.
Oh,
before you-
because of
before you
the,
vote,
yeah,
yes.
all right, let's just see. Yeah,
A little cumbersome, but
yeah, I apologize, everybody. Paul wrote it down. I looked at it quickly and
I can't see if
There's two residents on the
Okay.
call.
One of them is me.
And one of them is actually the architect.
It's not me.
Chris.
Oh, one is Chris and one's the architect.
Right.
So the chance of them speaking against it,
so Jay, we don't
covering
have
all of us
anybody,
is-
right?
I already made my comment.
but I'm happy. Thank you, Mr. Lombardi, for covering that. That was
Yeah,
actually good.
I apologize.
And-
Just
and-
make sure.
And I think,
We're all set?
should we also,
Okay.
should we also clarify that this is the last meeting where members of the public will be able to communicate via WebEx? Is that true, Madam Chair?
Yes.
Well,
Due to the
yes,
state
this-
Yeah, well,
governor's
what we're doing is
orders?
We're going back to, obviously WebEx is no longer necessary. We're going to be scanning. Obviously, we're going to be live streaming like we did before, and we're in person. So,
Okay,
Very
and as you can tell by the last few meetings, it's become less and less popular.
right. Thank you.
Okay, we have item B hanging. So, Madam Clerk, would you call the roll for this? The motion is the action on the public hearing and setting the date for the referendum for November 2nd. Mark read that into the record, the actual referendum motion. Go ahead.
DiPaolo,
Yes?
Dietzick,
Yes.
Lombardi,
Yes.
Morelli,
Yes.
Palmieri,
Yes.
Pulis,
Yes.
Chaplinsky,
Yes.
Del Santo,
Yes.
Triano.
Yes, passes unanimously. So you're going to have a referendum on the 2nd of November. All right, continuing on, item C, action on the Calendar House, section 5310
Motion.
grant application.
Motion to approve is presented.
second that.
Thank you, Chris, and
I'll second that.
and
Madam
Mike
Chair. Sure.
seconded it. All those in favor signify by, do we need a voice vote on this?
Actually, roll call vote, yes.
Roll call.
It's a grant.
Yep, please.
DiPaolo,
Yes?
Dietzick,
Yes.
Lombardi,
Yes.
Morelli,
Yes.
Palmieri,
Yes.
Pulis,
Yes.
Chaplinsky,
Yes.
Del Santo,
Yes.
Triano.
Yes. Thank you, everybody. New business. We have an appointment to fulfill the resignation of Ryan Rogers' seat. And so, Chris,
I put forward the name of Candace Mazzarella of 115 Johanna Circle to
very
fill
good.
the vacancy for the 2-year term.
Yep, very good.
I'll second that.
Okay, very good. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, very good.
And Madam Chair, we did not forget, there are no tax refunds this month. I know
There
that,
are no
sorry, Val.
tax
There are no
refunds.
tax refunds for you.
There's no tax refund.
Boyd, Val. Next month.
No tax. Okay, I'm looking for a motion to go into executive session.
Madam
barring
Chair, I'll make that motion, barring press and public.
Inviting,
It's going to be for real estate purposes, the town attorney, the town manager, and the rest of the council, and nobody else, right?
we're going to take, we need to use this room for the executive session because of the audiovisual equipment. So we'll take 5 minutes so everybody can say goodbye
In other
and then
words,
we'll reestablish.
Oh, because we're using the.
Yeah, we need to see these. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody.
Oh.
Thank you, everybody. Take
Okay,
care.
no problem.
We'll see you.
Victoria?
Yes.
Why don't you,
Oh, sorry.
important matters.
Right?
Oh, well, that's good.
I signed every, she'll sign the letter.
Have a good night.
I didn't like.
I was surprised by the executive session.
It's not just you guys, it's them.
Thought we were getting out of here nice and early.
To get all 5 legislators.
Linda, Shane reach out to you? Okay. All right. For Guy to leave early and rescue the kids from Camp Sloper. It was so hot today. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we're fine.